Day 35 since entering the 9th planet system designated B1567. Troop carrier, Lelstead. The 182nd Fleet had been the pride of the Navy 150 standard cycles ago. Today, the hulls were black from splattered metal from asteroid strikes and shot through with radiation. There were only 9 proper attack craft in the whole fleet, plus a random smattering of screens and troop carriers consigned to radiation poisoning as their shielding decayed. Modern ships had onboard shield units to keep asteroids and ballistics off, but that certainly wasn't in the budget. Why can't they send some of their fast new ships to clean up these primitives? We could be on garrison duty in System 112 and I could be chatting up a Gargarian right now. These people don't even have interplanetary spacecraft. They won't be a threat for another 1,000 cycles. Garaka leaned down from his bulwark-stained console to peer at the navigator who had spoken. Syndra again. What was the point of OBSEC on a troop carrier that wouldn't get used in the whole damn operation? Just getting bombarded with radiation for 330 molari a cycle. They could at least know why they were out here. They're even more warlike than the Gargians. These things are so greedy that we've had to adjust our projections for spacefaring capability downwards a half dozen times because they keep sabotaging each other. Central finally got tired of redoing simulations because of how insane they are, especially the fleet which could get to them the soonest. They're technically inside the core region, even if we only discovered them 100 cycles ago. Voltemnis giggled. That's horrifying. They wasted so much time that we're going to ice them just for that. Name something more representative of our Imperial problems. Maybe they're as good of a fuck as Gargians. Garaka released some vermis from his paws. You, for one thing. We're supposed to be defending the Empire from these things. You won't even land on the planet, so don't even think about it. These things have tiny little pores, and they're dry as a bone unless you get inside them. Then it's all water. Vimbat sucked all his vermis in, drying himself as much as possible. Look at me, Voltemnis, ready for a nice fuck and some water to drink? Voltemnis glanced over, sighting them up. You know, after we're done icing these people, I would... The comm crackled. Garaka punched at it till it cleared up. The voice of Acting Fleet Command Bureaucracy came through. We're now in low orbit. Switch to core bouncing comm set for the extra heavy iron core. Prepare to release towed ammunition aimed for the northern hemisphere. Bellmancy could do with fucking a completely dry, hairy primitive. The entire thing had been in the brief, and they'd been towing these damn rocks ever since the flagship went dry and got sent home as extra insurance, since the orbital bombardment would be slow as hell. They dropped the rock and let gravity do its dirty work a microcycle ago, and it was now well ahead of them, on course to some body of water near the largest population centres. Vimbat went back to actually doing his job, and glanced at the console. Garaka, are you seeing this? Garaka refocused, ripping his second eyelids open. See what? Oh look, ballistics. That's incredible. They actually detected us among all the rocks we're about to throw them? Vimbat punched in, so his report was sharp on Garaka's console. There's, kind of a lot of them, Captain. Some are pretty damn fast. The screen was almost completely red with incoming fire. Garaka sloped in surprise. Holy shit! Evasives, get the hell away from the asteroids. That's thousands. Get out of the screen's line of fire. Get us up and away from the rocks. Voltemnis slammed his body onto the dry pad. You weren't kidding about these people being insane. The ship lurched hard, artificial gravity flicking off as power diverted to the thrusters. The ground pounders would be flaying around in the dark back in the hold. Dodging between asteroids and course of primitive bases, the troop ship fell out of formation, pulling away from the planet. The screens went to town, knocking out incoming weapons. A moment after, the thrusters were knocked out with pinpoint hard-light strikes. The first weapon exploded. That wasn't normal. Fuck, they're fusion weapons! Targeting is all blown! The view screens filled up with green and yellow as the attack craft point defense did their best. The troop ships had all had similar ideas to Garaka and were climbing. But why wasn't anybody giving... Oh, crud, the comms. Garaka started slamming themselves into the console, rushing through the usually routine process of switching to core bouncing comms. Syndra was shouting, Why didn't we know they had fusion weapons? Why did you fuckers let the flagship go if we were going to have to bombard them from so high? Who the hell? Garaka tuned her out. Matsuba, Balmansi's ship, was hit 8 times and disintegrated, breaking into 3 pieces. Mezec, Montevieux, and Versific also blew up, taking fully half the fleet's firepower with them. The troop ships abruptly changed course, diving back towards the incoming bombardment, as the ballistics started impacting the released asteroids, blasting pieces of rock in every direction. The comm came on finally. Dive for the planet's surface. There's a second round of weapons after this one, just launched. Get into the atmosphere. The screens can get high enough to defend themselves and fight a support campaign. The weapons are faster than our retrograde burn. Cinder was still shouting, "The hell launches multiple waves of ballistics. They're literally designed to all..." Will termed this, had thankfully heard the comm over the racket, and was diving with the rest of them. On screen, Belsenjet, another troop carrier like Lestat, crashed into a chunk of asteroid and cracked like a piece of hot metal dipped into nitrogen. The screens were all too far away to help, just a mess of support craft firing off hard light and trying to thin out the worst of the debris. Everything began to slow down and catch fire as they hit the atmosphere, burning retrograde thrusters as huge chunks of rock hurtled past. Someone on one of the troop ships had their head on straight though, probably one of the new transfers. "Everybody stay on target for the northern hemisphere. We need to land on the continent shaped like a triangle touching the pole. Continent 1 from the briefing. That's where the most dangerous enemy is, and they've got the fewest asteroids heading for them, because we were going to work them over with the bombardment first." Garaka could only imagine what this must look like from below. The sky was on fire over Oregon. Ben looked up at the huge streaks of light, then back at his phone. Signal was all gone. CNN had said that would happen. He looked at his co-workers. Hundreds of people stood in the distribution center parking lot, staring up. Some people were crying. The aurora continued. Unearthly greens and purples in broad daylight. Seemed appropriate, considering. They were away from population centers. How good was the aliens' intel? If they knew that Zeronicom and niobium manufacturing in the entire United States was centered in Albany, then things could get really bad really fast. There was a ton of food and supplies in the building, but what would the red vents do? He glanced over. The 10 executives in the building were all huddled in a circle, talking in low voices. The cars wouldn't start. Emma's parents had gotten out. According to their last text, they were in Salem. He had no idea what was going on in California. Emma was having a panic attack, but she was babysitting up there today, so she'd be within walking distance of them, and 40 or 50 miles from him. He wasn't thinking about that. He headed for the security guards. They were staring up like everybody else, but the three of them seemed really calm. Jim was talking. "Aurora means the bombs went off. Yeah, Ulysses? That's good for us. Means at least we got into contact. The asteroids are still falling, though. TV said Portland and Seattle would go up if they got through. Gonna be a hell of a lot of refugees here in a moment if their cars still work, heading down I-5. Ben interrupted. "Hey, guys, people are going to wake up and start panicking in a moment. We're about 20 miles from town. The manager say anything?" Jer, the biggest of the three, winced. "Anything about what? The building is still owned by Target. We're all on the clock." Ben nodded. "When I can take my gun out of my car, let me know." Jer held eye contact for a few seconds and nodded once. Guns were against the rules, and saying that would have gotten him fired and walked off the property a minute ago. It was going to be an interesting week.